How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Relentless Sportsman channel. My name is Corey and I've never turkey hunted before, but this is what happened the first time I went. Check it out. Oh, holy crap. That was amazing. Look at this thing. First time I've ever turkey hunted in my life. And I've gone with people. I've hunted in the fall and stuff. This is amazing. This is really cool. I'm gonna get this thing back to the house. Catch up with you later. Look at that thing. Sweet. So I know what you might be thinking, beginner's luck, right? Well, you probably are right. But at the same time, I did put some work into it. But I love the outdoors, I love to deer hunt, I love to duck hunt, I love to grouse hunt, I love to goose hunt. I just thought I would give it a shot. And where I live on my property, there are turkeys everywhere. There's fields, there's rivers, creeks. It's the perfect environment for turkeys to live in. Big white pines for them to roost. And the white pine that you saw in the video way off in the distance is a pine tree where like 10 turkeys were roosting. I found that out a couple days before season opened because I heard them flapping their wings and I thought, interesting. That's good news. The Sunday before opener, I was sitting in my living room looking out the window and I saw 6 toms fighting with each other in my backyard. All 6 had big long beards. They almost looked identical. What happened was I was getting ready to set up for the hunt on opening night that first Wednesday and I needed something to sit on. So this is the canoe seat I use. I set this up against a tree, folds up, you prop it up, you sit down, you're ready to call in turkeys. You can deer hunt with this on the ground. It works well for all applications. Go have a picnic at the beach, whatever you want to do. So the reason why I'm telling you about this canoe seat isn't because I think you're interested in canoe seats. It's because I took it out of my garage and I was going to adjust it on one of the trees in my yard first. So I sat it down on the tree. I want to make sure the straps were adjusted. It wasn't going to be noisy because I knew exactly where these turkeys roost at night. I want to get as close as possible without making a lot of noise and causing a big distraction. So before I went into the woods to actually pursue the turkeys, I placed my canoe seat up against a tree. I adjusted the straps on either side to make sure it was comfortable for sitting against. I'm not a very experienced caller, so I'm going to take out my box call right here and I'm going to practice in the yard before I actually go out and pursue the turkeys from maybe less than 100 yards away. So I'm literally in my yard against the tree that I was practicing. I sat down my canoe seat to adjust it. I grabbed my little turkey call right here and I just started going at it. I was trying to practice before I got into the actual hunting situation. But you have to remember, on my property there's turkeys all over the place. I was just going like this. So after calling just a couple times, a hen starts going crazy. Then a couple times go crazy where I figured they were roosting in that pine tree. I'm in my yard right now. I don't have my gun. I was just practicing calling before I went out for the turkey hunt, and I need to get moving if I want to get into range because those toms could be headed my way. And here I am sitting in my yard right next to my house by my garage, not an ideal spot to shoot a turkey. I wanted to get there as soon as possible, get set up in my canoe seat. I shoved that call in my pocket, loaded my gun, so I was in position in case they got there before I was expecting them. You can see there's this big hill here by the river, and I'm thinking, I want to get down there and set up on the base of this hill so I have a clear shot in that opening for the turkeys to come through. So as I'm walking down, I'm looking all around here. I'm praying to God a turkey just doesn't come running up, because I will not be ready and I'll probably get busted here. I'm really exposed on the top of this hill. Put a walking path on the way down, and I was hoping to tuck in by one of those larger maple trees down there. As I get closer to the base of this hill, I start walking up. I go up a couple steps, I stop and I wait. I look around, I take 5 more steps quietly, and I stop and wait. Way up there, that tallest white pine off in the distance there is where they roost. That's about 100, maybe 120 yards from where I'm standing right now. Doesn't mean that's where they were coming from when they were gobbling. They could have come from somewhere else. I just knew they were in that general direction when I was kind of messing around with the call in my yard. So as I walked down this hill, I noticed this tree here that would really break up my outline. With this hill going up, I could certainly put my canoe seat right at the base of this tree as I'm watching out for that large white pine that you see right here where they roost in. So this is where I was sitting. Turkeys would be roosting behind us here, and I had really good back cover with this large maple tree as I was sitting at the base of it. Now right here is where I'm sitting, and it's the exact same spot where I sat when I shot that tom. That pine tree, which is now behind a maple tree, is like right there. And as I was sitting here waiting for those toms to come my way, I wasn't calling much. I kind of just sat and played things out. Turkeys started flying into that tree. I must have seen 8, 9, maybe 10 turkeys fly up into that tree. I'm thinking, oh great, they're done running around. The toms aren't looking for hens anymore. They're done feeding. They're going up to the roost for the night. And I wasn't terribly happy about that because I thought, dang it, I lost my opportunity. So then I started getting really aggressive with the calls, and I was watching up there in that pine tree, and I could see the branches dipping down because there's 2 or 3 or 4 turkeys on one branch and it's too much, so then they move around. You could easily see this activity going on. I was just going crazy with the call. So as I'm sitting here, I would call again, I would call again. I must have called 5 times in a row, then I would get a gobble, and nothing would happen. It's getting dark, the sun's going down, shooting hours are about to end. I'm thinking, jeepers. Then I call again, I get a gobble. I call a few more times, I don't get a gobble. I know you should be patient, but time was running out. And I just kept looking up there at the tree, hoping a turkey would come down. But I know from experience as well, hunting with other people in the fall and in the spring even, that once the turkeys are roosted, it's hard to get them out of the roost sometimes. And I didn't have any luck getting any turkeys down from the roost that I could see. Now they could have flown off the backside, gone around the tree and come toward me. I have no idea. But all of a sudden, I just kind of gave it the beans, as we say, and I was just calling, waiting. Calling, waiting. So as I'm sitting back there, it's a little bit lower. It's about a foot or two down in elevation. So when we go up this way, where the turkeys were, I knew that with 2 toms flying in right towards us here, with 2 toms, I would have a much harder time getting my gun up. They came in so fast and unexpected that I wasn't sure how I was going to lift up my gun without getting caught. But I know from deer hunting experience that the time you raise up your bow, the time you lift up your gun, if you can, is when the deer is down feeding or looking the other direction. But with 2 turkeys and 4 eyes to deal with now instead of just 1 set of eyes, I knew that was going to be more difficult. Knowing that I didn't have much time in the day, and also knowing that turkeys have tremendously good eyesight, I had to wait for them both to be feeding, putting their heads down, or for them to go behind an object like a tree. But the odds of them both doing it at the same time are pretty low. Right when I started having that feeling, the first tom went behind this maple tree right there. The second tom started feeding back there with its head down, and that's when I lifted my gun up, shouldered it, and kept it in position. The second tom over here came back out just enough broadside to me where I could get a good shot and a good angle right here to the left side of this larger maple tree over here, and that worked out perfectly. So the other tom on the left was not looking, and the tom on the right just cleared this tree with its head and its neck where I could make a good shot, knocked it down instantly. And then you may have seen in the footage where that tom went down, flopped around like they do, and the other one actually ran over here and was a little bit confused. It ended up staying in this area for a while and then flew across the river, then who knows where it went. You see, I didn't realize how good my setup actually was. It was kind of just a split-second thing where I needed back cover, I needed to be a little bit lower, I knew I didn't have much time. Those things happen when we're a little stressed or short on time. Sometimes we make silly decisions and we realize later that wasn't the smartest thing to do. But somehow it worked out. And as we look here, this is the tree that Tom was behind in this area over here. The other Tom was feeding over in that direction. I was sitting right there at the base of that tree, down a couple feet in elevation. So the only thing from this perspective, as we get down where a turkey would be, the only thing that turkey could see was my gun possibly, my shoulders, and my head. And I was not moving. I had blended in really well with that large maple tree at the base of that hill. So unless you move, there's no way that turkey would have seen me. I hope that clarifies what you saw. Considering that I self-film my hunts and I self-film while I go fishing, you don't always get the full picture of what goes on, and I think that's worth explaining so you can understand more of what's going on as you're watching this on YouTube. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for your time. Stay tuned for more adventures from the Relentless Sportsman. Bye-bye.